rko.fm.
Amigos de rko.fm, de nuevo les saluda Sof Vázquez y hoy estamos muy contentos porque nos acompaña nada más y nada menos que Freddie Cowan. Él es el guitarrista principal de esta increíble banda británica de Vaccines, pero hoy vamos a hablar sobre su proyecto solista, que seguramente muchos de ustedes no sabían, pero que bueno, porque aquí nos vamos a enterar de todo, y es Freddie and the Scenarios. Entonces, pues vamos a ver de qué trata este proyecto. Freddie, welcome to rko.fm. We're very excited to have you here with us. And well, I was just telling the audience that you are the lead guitar of the Vaccines.
Yes, I understand. Yeah, I
Oh.
I understand a bit of Spanish. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so I just want you to let us know what is about Freddie and the Scenarios.
So, Answer Machine is the album that we made, and it's an album that technically started in Mexico City, and was written over a few years after like a very influential trip to Mexico, and then was finished back in Mexico City, maybe like, well, when was that? 2022, sorry. So I came to Mexico City in 2019 on holiday, planted some seeds, and yeah, like 3 years later came back to finish the record. And it's an album about, I guess, about like a spiritual awakening and about principles in life and everything. And yeah, it's kind of, I guess what's most relevant to this discussion is that Mexico is it's a core part of the kind of colors and the pieces that we use to make this record. And the only place that Freddie and the Scenarios has ever performed is in Mexico. And yeah, I'm planning to do a lot more stuff in Mexico over the next year or so. So,
wow, yeah. We're very excited to see what's next for Freddie.
I'm just excited to come back to Mexico. I just love Mexico. So.
Oh, that's great to know. Bueno, le pregunté a Freddie que nos hablara sobre este increíble proyecto y nos contó que empezó en México cuando vino de vacaciones en el 2019. Y aquí empezó, bueno, en la Ciudad de México empezó el álbum y después, 3 años después, en el 2022 es cuando lo termina, regresa a México para terminarlo. Y dice que este es un álbum de un poquito como de despertar espiritual, le encanta venir a México y es una parte muy importante de este álbum, los colores y todo lo que México representa para él. Y es el único lugar en el que Freddie and the Scenarios han presentado en vivo. Entonces, qué honor y qué padre saber que México, la Ciudad de México en específico, ha sido tan importante para este proyecto tan increíble. And if you could tell us the story behind, I mean, I know your name is Freddie, but why is it Freddie and the Scenarios, the name of this project?
Do you know what? I don't really know. I joke that it's like Freddie and the Dreamers, but in a kind of neurotic way. Like, to have a dream is often something that's optimistic and nice, and to have a scenario seemed to me like something negative. And it was like Freddie and all the crazy shit he comes up with in his head, you know? So it's a bit of a joke. But I really like the name. I actually don't know where it came from. It just came out of nowhere. I have no idea. But it feels like exactly the right name. And I like it because it also talks to like musical possibilities and scenarios. And I like the idea of the project being something that's really collaborative and always working with new people. And, I was working with a friend of mine, and he's just recorded a song that we did together with an orchestra in Hungary. So maybe the next song we release will be like an orchestral instrumental. It's like a room full of mirrors,
Wow. Well, now that you mention it,
but I don't know where it came from.
Well, but I think it suits, as you said, that scenarios are infinitive possibilities. So I think it really suits.
Yeah,
Uh, well,
I'm definitely an overthinker.
oh, I'm a fan of your team. I'm an overthinker as well. So yeah, I get
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Bueno, le pregunté a Freddy sobre el nombre de Freddie and the Scenarios. Bueno, Freddy pues es un nombre, pero quería saber la parte de esto de And the Scenarios. Y dice que realmente no sabe por qué salió este nombre. Un poquito juega con la idea con Freddie and the Dreamers, que tener un sueño es muy importante, ser optimistas, pero que realmente es porque él nunca deja de pensar. Yo también soy un miembro de este club, no dejo de pensar, todo el tiempo mi mente está al mil. Y bueno, dice que también ha tenido contacto con un amigo, con una orquesta en Hungría, entonces que tal vez en algún futuro podremos ver una canción tal vez en orquesta o algo que tenga que ver con Hungría. Entonces, creo que el nombre, a pesar de que no sé de dónde salió o cómo se dio, creo que le queda muy bien, que los escenarios son infinidad de posibilidades, entonces eso está padrísimo. And you mentioned a collaboration with friends, and I know that this project has a lot of Mexican musicians. So how did you met all of these musicians?
I met Diego Herrera from Caifanes on an airplane just by chance. Didn't know who Caifanes were or who he was, but he was a very kind and cool person, and we became friends just through chance or fate. I met Pepe Lopez at We Rock through a friend of my brother's whose band, The Horrors, used to play a lot in Mexico. And Pepe then hooked me up with Mikey Hernandez from Ray Pila, Oscar Sanchez, the percussionist, Gustavo Nalapayepos on drums, and then Moses Garcia, who plays, he plays for a lot of people, but I think at one point played for Juan Gabriel, and Juan Lopez, the saxophonist. And so I just got lucky. I got a couple of great, I mean, I don't think it's luck. I think it's just fate. But these people showed up and they really opened the doors to a lot of other people. But it was very quick. You know, the album recording process in England was very long and over a course of a year. And I'd chosen people that I earmarked over the years as people I wanted to work with. But the Mexican recording process was like one day. I went in the studio with all the brass people. I've been working with Diego on it for like 2 years over email. And Dan Zlotnick, another, I mean, he's half Mexican, string arranger and brass arranger. And then we went in the studio, much like I am now, like really underslept and jet lagged, and like 6 coffees in, and just did the whole album recording in a day with these amazing musicians. And but I was thinking today that I would quite like to come and record my next album or the next Scenarios album in Mexico City fully. I think I'd really like that. I know that We Rock Studios they're like gutting it and making it into something really special. So I'm not sure I feel like England is the right place to record it.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So this album was recorded in London? This is what I'm understanding.
No, it was recorded in Somerset, which is where I live.
Oh, okay.
Which is way west of London. It's near Glastonbury Festival.
Okay.
And it's a very like spiritual and kind of hippie part of the country. And I used to live in London, and I made the record here, and then I ended up moving here.
Oh, okay.
Because I felt at home here.
And
I feel like there's more in common here than, well, not really, but there's a lot of similarities here between here and Mexico that the rest of the UK doesn't really have, just in terms of the kind of spiritual aspect of it. But it's still very English, and England is so different to Mexico.
Okay, yeah, I've been to London 2 times, and yes, it's completely different from Mexico.
Different. It's the culture and the people that's so different, and the mentality is so different.
Yeah,
it's not like relaxed and fun. It's kind of like very strict.
Yeah, I understand. Bueno, ahora le pregunté a Freddie sobre la colaboración que tiene en este álbum con tantos mexicanos, con tantos músicos mexicanos. Está Diego Herrera de Caifanes, Dan Slotnick, Miguel Hernández de Rey Pila. Y bueno, ¿cómo fue esto? Él conoció a Diego en el avión, dice que fue como el destino, entonces ahí se conocieron, empezaron a platicar y después conoció a Pepe López por su hermano, porque quienes no saben, su hermano es integrante de The Horrors, una banda que ha venido muchas veces a México y que también soy fan, entonces creo que la música es muy importante en esta familia y bueno, a través de Pepe López conoce a más músicos, a como a Miguel Hernández y así fue como se dio esta colaboración. Eh, Empezó a grabarlo en Londres, dice que tomó creo que 2 años, fue algo que tomó bastante tiempo y cuando vino a México prácticamente fue rapidísimo. Entonces piensa que le gustaría grabar el próximo álbum en Ciudad de México porque le encanta, dice que realmente lo que le gusta es que no es pues no se parece nada a Londres, de él es. Y sí, puedo confirmar, yo he estado un par de veces ahí y sí, la cultura y demás, pues sí, es completamente distinto. Y me parece increíble que esté tan enamorado de nuestra cultura porque es algo bastante bonito y se siente muy padre que personas que no son mexicanas, pues se sientan tan identificados con nuestra cultura, ¿no? And well, now let's talk about the singles, which I absolutely love them. Self Pity City, Sunny Bloom, Begin Again, and how the sound is so different from the vaccines. Was it difficult, like to separate? I mean, you've been in the vaccines like in a lot of time, so was it difficult, or was it just the idea that you had?
No, it wasn't difficult. I think the music part was probably quite easy. It's just the difficult part is letting yourself go with it and not, if you let music be made from the spirit of positivity and exploration and open-mindedness and know that it comes from somewhere else and it's not you, then the music leads the way. And if you get scared and you start thinking, oh, you have to put it, and it becomes quite formulaic, then it becomes quite difficult. And this album was just made in the first way. It was like, this feels good. This song is 7 minutes long, but that feels good. And this doesn't make any sense, but it feels good. And just keep following it. Sorry, it's my son. It was very natural. And actually, I was actively, I wanted to make something very different in mentality and approach to vaccines. Vaccines have become very quick recording. And I wanted to record everything live and give it time and work with certain people. And I guess I had a lot stored up that I was ready to kind of do things my way on a record,
Okay. And I guess it was very difficult being an overthinker. I mean, I struggle letting myself go. So.
Yeah, well, I struggle. I still struggle all the time. I guess just in those moments, I focused really hard on letting go. Okay. Someone said something in the studio, it like pissed me off. It was like, focus, like, let it go. Don't get involved in this. Don't get involved in that. Stay in the flow, like stay in the lightness of it. And as a result of that, but when I listen to the album, it's way beyond like my mind. It's something really great happened in those songs and that came from outside of me.
Okay.
So yeah, it was, for me, it's like a real privilege to just have been part of that experience.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you let yourself go because the singles and the music and the sound is just amazing, like nothing I've ever heard before. So
thank you.
That was great. Bueno, le pregunté. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
No, I was gonna say, like, for me, the same. Like, I haven't heard anything like it.
Yeah.
I just felt really strongly, oh, we need to work with Diego. We need to put brass on it. It's going to be a bit of this, a bit of that. But it wasn't like premeditated. It was just following your heart and the process and going, this feels right and this feels right. So that's what I feel like part of it. I don't feel responsible for it. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, totally. Okay. Bueno, pues le pregunté sobre los últimos sencillos que han sacado de South Pity City, Sonic Boom, Begin Again, que los tienen que escuchar, por favor, están increíbles. Y bueno, le pregunté si fue como difícil separarse un poquito del sonido de The Vaccines, porque suena completamente distinto. Freddie and the Scenarios a The Vaccines es una cosa completamente distinta. Y me dijo que no, que realmente no fue difícil. Realmente él se dejó ir y solamente hacer las cosas, no tener miedo, como tener una mentalidad distinta. Él dice que no se sentía responsable, sino se sentía parte de, y creo que eso tiene bastante sentido. Quería grabar todo en vivo, entonces como que sí fue un proceso completamente distinto, pero no fue difícil. Y bueno, también le dije que es algo que realmente nunca habíamos escuchado. Bueno, yo en lo personal es un concepto completamente distinto. Y sí, dice que para él también, que no es algo que había escuchado antes. Entonces, creo que eso está muy, muy padre. And I can also feel the Mexican influence at Begin Again with all the brass I think you mentioned. Because I wasn't getting like sure if you were involving Mexican culture, but when I listened to Begin Again, I was like, wow, this really sounds Mexican. So that was nice.
Well, I on the same trip that I met Diego on, I was in Juarez, and I was introduced to Juan Gabriel, and then Juan Gabriel, the album Palacio de Bellas Artes, and Hasta que te conocí,
Mm-hmm.
the version from that concert became my favorite song.
Wow.
So that was the sound I wanted for that song. It was just this that Juan Gabriel recording is just endlessly building from the mariachi to him, and then to the drums, and then the brass section, and then it goes again, and it goes again, and it's got the orchestra in it. It's like fuck. That's the kind of thing that really excited me. It was just all feeling, you know.
Yeah.
No, not much. Like, it wasn't. I don't like ABBA at all. You know, like ABBA, that kind of Swedish, structured, formulaic. You know, we build it like this, and then the Juan Gabriel thing to me was all passion, all God, all like spirit, and sexy, and kind of just life. You know.
Yeah. I think you describe it perfectly.
Yeah. So that was taking a big cue from that song.
Oh.
And then I was also massively into Vicente Fernandez and Javier Solis. And I understand that for Mexicans, like, you'd be a bit like an English person coming and saying, oh, you know, like, I don't know, not Elton John, but I mean, someone even more socially acceptable. Maybe if you were American, it'd be like, oh, we love James Taylor, and we love this, and we love that, and you'd be like, okay, cool, but that's what my parents liked. We didn't like that, but I had no cultural reference for it, so I just heard it and thought, fuck, this is amazing, you know? And it was really discovering a new great artist that I hadn't experienced for like years, because I was always discovering really cool artists, but the assumption is that you know all the great artists, you know the big people, like the I don't know, the Jimi Hendrixes and the Beatles, and then you know, like, the Usain Dorf of Africa, and you know, but discovering Juan Gabriel was like discovering like another Beatles or something. It wasn't alternative. It was just as great. So it was really, really invigorating and refreshing for me
Oh,
to,
wow.
to yeah, to find a whole new world of music that was, yeah. Like
Oh,
I've
that's
reined it in a bit, you know, like I've stopped wearing the kind of cowboy hat and
yeah.
the stuff, but it's very important for me, for sure.
Wow. Wow, as a
Yeah.
Mexican, I really appreciate all the things you said because Juan Gabriel is very important for us. So uh, I think
Yeah.
that's amazing. So
Well, it's
thank
very
you for
easy
sharing that.
to love Mexican culture because you love your own country. You know,
Yeah.
there's no like people aren't. It's very warmly embraced.
Oh, thank you.
You know, and you said you like these things. They're like, oh, thank you. We love it too. And it's very very easy. It's very easy to be a fan of Mexico. You know.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bueno, pues le pregunté sobre el sonido de Begin Again, que aquí sí se nota muchísimo la influencia de México con los metales y bueno, le pregunté cómo fue eso. Y bueno, la respuesta fue increíble, me siento muy contenta y mi corazón está muy feliz. Dice que conoció a Juan Gabriel, bueno, no lo conoció, bueno, escuchó su música y fue la canción de Hasta que te conocí en la versión de este fabuloso concierto en Bellas Artes y quedó completamente enamorado porque todas las capas musicales que tiene Juan Gabriel, entonces quedó completamente enamorado, dice que esto es como demasiada pasión mezclado como con religión y que es algo muy sexy para él y que realmente fue un descubrimiento, casi casi como descubrir a los Beatles para él, fue así de importante y porque realmente él no tenía una referencia de Juan Gabriel, no lo conocía, entonces qué bonito. La verdad me encantó saber esto y que lo haya influenciado tanto en su música. Y dice que no es difícil enamorarse de la cultura mexicana porque nosotros como mexicanos también queremos mucho a nuestra cultura, entonces es algo que él realmente le gusta y bueno, creo que es un honor increíble que personas de otro país se interesen por nuestra cultura y no solo eso, sino que sean influenciados a hacer algo con nuestra bella cultura. um, and Freddie, what's next for Freddie and the Scenarios? Maybe a tour or coming back to Mexico, new releases? What can we expect?
Well, I'm playing a couple of shows in the next week or so in the UK. I have a couple of festivals this summer in the UK, and then the plan is hopefully to come back to Mexico in the autumn. And I'd like to record a new album next year. But I'm trying to actively not make plans because I just every time I make a plan, I end up having to start again and reverse out of the expectation of that plan. I'm just trying to stay present to whatever's happening. And like this thing with the orchestra in Hungary, that wasn't on the cards. I didn't even know that was happening a week ago. He just said, "Oh, I want." He wanted to use it for his wedding, and he's recording a session with an orchestra. He wanted to record that. So, and I keep meeting interesting people, and but yeah, my dream plan would be to come back to Mexico in the autumn, play a few shows, you know, maybe spend January, February in Mexico, work on a new record, play some more stuff around, you know, anywhere in the world, and then record a new record next summer.
Okay. Well,
I'd very much like to do that, but we'll see. You know, God's always got different plans.
well, we'll be looking forward to see you here in Mexico City, and we're very excited for what's next to Freddie and the Scenarios.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Bueno, le pregunté qué podríamos esperar de Freddie and the Scenarios en un futuro. Dice que tiene un par de presentaciones en el Reino Unido, festivales, y que en otoño espera venir a la Ciudad de México. Y también le gustaría estar en enero y febrero y a lo mejor grabar su próximo álbum en la Ciudad de México. Entonces, estamos muy emocionados por eso. And Freddie, we're running out of time, but it was such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
all the, I mean, I love the way you love Mexico. I feel very honored about that. So thank you so much for having this chat with us. And if there is anything else you would like to say to the audience?
No. I'm sure I'll get cut off, but yeah, no.
Okay.
Just thank you for listening. It's good to be here. I hope I get to come back to Mexico soon. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much again for your time. And well, eso fue todo, amigos de RKO.fm. Espero les haya gustado este proyecto tan increíble. No dejen de escucharlo. Y yo soy Sof Vázquez y que tengan un excelente día.
RKO.fm